How you doing?
Hey, but seriously, how's it going? I hope you are having a great time because I need to know that at least one of us is having fun. My life's been a bitch recently, so I want yours to be a movie, okay? Actually, speaking of that, my life can be a movie too. A good one. A no-list movie, because I don't know what the fuck is going on half of the time. Today's video is sponsored by 知识派公众号. Auntie Zoe is gonna be very polite in this video, okay? And before we officially get started, I want to show you these. And you must be curious about, oh, what are these, Zoe? These are actually books I bought on the 18th of July on the shopping festival. And surprisingly, see, there's still the plastic wrapper on a lot of them. Because I just never read. I never sit down and read after graduating college anymore. What am I doing? Seriously, what am I doing here? I've been trying my best to utilize my time fragments better. So the two most effective and accessible ways I found are, first of all, audiobooks. Second of all, podcasts.
According to Merriam-Webster, podcast is a program of music or talk made available in digital format for automatic download or stream over the internet.
It is radio for Zillennials. It's radio programs with a fancier name, okay? As far as I'm concerned, podcasts are brilliant. They're fascinating. They're just similar to and different from YouTube or Bilibili videos in the best way possible. They're similar in a way that they're hosted by the people you know and love. On the flip side, they're different from the longer videos because, you know, nowadays videos are jam-packed with information. When you watch something, you literally have to pay attention to every single second. Otherwise, you miss out. However, podcasts are different. They're chill, they're relaxing, and they are the perfect BGM for your life. On top of it, they're educational, so why not? It's actually such a shame to admit that I used to have a comfort zone for podcasts. But now I've been branching out. But let's start with my favorite YouTubers, and I'm gonna name the category Comfort Zone. So start off, I want to mention a couple of YouTube comedians, Curtis Connor as well as Cody Ko. So both of them are Canadian YouTubers / stand-up comedians. Both of them have their eponymous YouTube channels. However, Curtis has a podcast called Very Really Good, while Cody co-hosts a podcast called Tiny Meat Gang with Noel Miller. I just hope those three words never left my mouth, but you know, I gotta do what I gotta do. So let's call it a TMG podcast. I'd say both of them have a good sense of humor. Curtis leans on the positive side, while Cody is more sarcastic.
They're funny, they're entertaining. They talk about, you know, tech gadgets, they talk about pop culture, they talk about social issues, they talk about, you know, bitcoins, blah, blah, blah.
The only downside is that neither of these podcasts are available on the Apple app, so I think you may have to look it up on YouTube. And the second one I want to talk about is another podcast hosted by one of my favorite YouTubers. It is Anything Goes by Emma Chamberlain. Familiar name, Emma, so the internet's favorite younger sister. That name delivers a sad vibe though. She is very down-to-earth, she's very casual, and she's really sincere in her podcast. And sometimes listening to it just feels like a brain massage.
She just whines and she gets happy, she tells you the truth, and she tells you her troubles, she tells you her life philosophy, blah, blah, blah. You can just, you know, not use your brain, you just put it on, and you go cook, you go sleep, you go shower, you do whatever. It feels like your best friend talking with you.
That's what it is. I am experiencing a lack of words right now, and let me try to fix it. Some honorable mentions are H3, Joe Rogan, and Ludwig. They originated from streamers, they're UFC fighters, they're YouTubers, and now there's just some of these biggest things in the podcast industry. They're like the 天津跳水大爷 of Tianjin, so you've already been here, might as well check them out. I don't really dig their humor, but you know, check them out just in case you like them. For the past 5 minutes, we've been talking about audiobooks, we've been talking about podcasts, we've been talking about learning on the go. However, sometimes I don't want to just have pure English immersion. I don't want to just listen. I want to learn systematically. Podcasts can give me that. Then, this is the perfect timing for you to try out the sponsor for today's video, 知识派公众号. Sometimes you land on the perfect English materials that are not subbed. And that is a real pain in your neck. Then the Cheese Pie Listening Bootcamp that's recently available on 知识派公众号 will be a perfect starting point for you. It is an 18-day training session that has courses tailored for students at different levels, including non-speakers, beginners, intermediate, as well as advanced.
Don't go to work. You fix boats on it all.
You can find so many genres of content, such as audiobooks, movies, and even news broadcasts. Each step of your learning will be tested to ensure your comprehension. Each day of training lasts for 60 minutes, and it only costs you 18 yuan for the entire session. I'd say that's a steal. Thank you, Cheese Pie, for sponsoring, and thank you guys for listening. Next, let's move on to one of the most significant and popular section of the podcast area, which is true crime. What I'm about to talk about are just going down a way darker route. We're talking about something serious. We're talking about something bloody. So get your heart ready. The first two true crime podcasts I would love to introduce you to are My Favorite Murder as well as Crime Junkie. The reason why I put these two together is because they share a similar format. Like they're both podcasts about true historical solved cases or cold cases. They're both hosted by two lady narrators or podcasters. Both of the duos are extremely talented, charming, and entertaining. However, Crime Junkie is more on the serious side.
A stranger came up behind him on the sidewalk and fired a pistol point blank right into his back.
My Favorite Murder is a lot more lighthearted, and they bounce off of each other very nicely.
This all happened at once. Me pushing the dog, leaning out of the way, and steering the car to the right. As the wood takes off my side view mirror, busts through the driver's window, and becomes impaled inside between the headrest and the car frame.
What the fuck?
So it's like you decide, do you want to be serious and calm, or do you want to be giggly and fun when you hear about a guy's head being blown off? And the last one I want to mention is called Over My Dead Body. And that is one hell of a logo or icon to go, right? Whatever. This is more like a 叉叉讲鬼故事, that kind of podcast is more of a monologue. If you want to be like chill and alone in the dark listening to a cold case, this is the one to go. And these wrap up my recommendations for true crime podcast. They're very popular. I don't understand, but I respect. And the rest of these podcasts, I'm not going to put them into categories. The first one I want to talk about is called Smartless. So what got me hooked was the arrangement of their content. After the opening, one host at a time is in charge of bringing in a mysterious guest. And after making the other two hosts guests, the three of them kind of carry out an in-depth interview on the mysterious guest. So I just found the guessing process very interesting. And since the three hosts are from like a plethora of backgrounds and upbringings, you know, you hear different voices harmoniously. Oh my god, look at these words. I'm pretending to be smart again. Just pretending though. For my listeners looking for academic materials, I have two recommendations. The first one being TED Talk Daily. We're all familiar with TED Talks, right? If you're not familiar, go watch Auntie Zoe's last video, please. I spent 10 minutes talking about TED Talks. And the second one I want to talk about is called Women at Work by HBR. What is HBR? Harvard Business Review. So they talk about, you know, professional issues, they talk about self-improvement, they talk about personal learning, blah, blah, blah.
It turned out to be like 4.5 seconds of my speaking, but somehow it took over my entire life. And what I really needed to figure out was how to calm myself so I could be present, so I could hear what people were saying, really listen to the questions.
I'm only skimming through it because I haven't listened to these two too much yet. So I will dive into it, I promise, and let's come back and talk about them. The last podcast I would love to talk about for today is called Stuff You Should Know. It's hosted by I forgot, I don't care, two guys, and they have great chemistry. The podcast's been there for like 15 years. It tells you about like all of these trivial questions. It educates you on a plethora of things such as like history, science, literature. The latest episode I watched was about the origin of okay. These mini stories that makes you a sophisticated person. So if you're interested, go watch those. As you can tell from today's content, this is just a tip of the iceberg. There's so many more good podcasts out there, and I'm also thinking if I should go back and watch some more myself and tell you, I'll just highlight some of the really good episodes for you guys so that you can just accurately land on the really useful episodes instead of, you know, just chewing up on something for 10 minutes and realize that it's crappy. It's kind of a shame that not a lot of these materials are subbed like in Chinese or in English, so we'll have to overcome that. But I do think podcasts or audiobooks are just one of the best learning resources for us out there. So go check them out. I hope they help. If you like the content, please leave a like or leave a comment in the comment section, leave a chat in the chat section. Yes, I'm begging again. Okay. I'll see you next time. My holiday's over. I'm going back to work tomorrow. I don't know what to do. I'm sad. I'm just, I'll see you next time. Bye bye. Bye bye. Thank you, 知识派. Thank you. Bye bye.